What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another new episode of Top of the List. My name is RB. I'm here with my co-host, Dom. And this week, we're going to be reviewing episode 2 or chapter 10 of The Mandalorian, season 2, episode 2, that being The Passenger, just released today. Dom, what were your thoughts on the second installment of season 2 of The Mandalorian?
Yeah, I was really excited with the end of the last week's episode and kind of that cliffhanger they left us off on. I think we should say that for this first part, we're just going to do spoiler free at first, and then we'll note when we're going to start talking spoilers, just like we do for all of our Mandalorian reviews. So my kind of spoiler free take was I wanted to see where they were going to go with the cliffhanger, and this it had nothing to do with it. So that was a big disappointment right at the beginning of this one. I know that's maybe a minor spoiler if you consider that yourself, but I'm just saying it has nothing to do with the cliffhanger at the end of episode 1 of season 2. So that was a major disappointment for me, which is why I guess I'll just give my score. I'm going to give this one 6.5, maybe a 7. If I might be able to convince to make this a 7 if I think of enough stuff that I liked. Maybe on a second watch I might like it a little more, but I'm not sure. Right now, I feel like this was your average episode of Mandalorian, if not a cut above some of the worst episodes. I think have been worse, but there has definitely been better, especially coming off of the premiere. I think that was one of our favorite episodes, if not the best episode of the whole series. So
Absolutely. Yeah. I think we're right up the same alley there. Felt like, had a lot of excitement to come home and watch this episode, come home from work today.
yeah,
Didn't quite meet the level or the bar that was set so high by the series or season 2 premiere. But that said, there was still some cool stuff in this episode. It's still an above average episode. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10, slightly below you. Felt like this episode was very slow. One of the slower Mandalorian episodes, season 1 or season 2 thus far. There was some cool stuff that happened, definitely. Some good, without spoiling too much, some decent, little nostalgic throwbacks to some original Star Wars stuff. But all in all, nothing really jumped out at me at this episode. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there by saying, it didn't touch on the cliffhanger from episode 1. This really felt like just a standalone episode. That it didn't. They made an episode because they needed 8 episodes, but this episode really wasn't necessary to the grand story of the Mandalorian and the story we're following with, the Mandalorian and the child and his, as we know, this series or this season is supposed to be about his ability to reunite the child with the Jedi.
Yeah, exactly. And this really didn't have anything to do with that even at all, which is the big draw in this season.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I'm not sure if you know how many episodes there's going to be this season or not, Ryan.
8.
I don't know. Oh, that's what I thought as well. 8.
There are 8 this season. 8. They've already released that, same as last season. Although we are, we're both excited that the episodes are a little bit longer this season, so that's awesome.
Yeah, we don't want to discredit them. Where that was my main concern with season 1 was the episodes seem so short, and it seems that they've taken that criticism into account. They've made some longer episodes, but I didn't just want them to make more of the same. I guess I just wanted them to go a new direction too. And it looked like in the episode 1 of this season, they were going to go in a new direction. And it looks like this was more of a side mission on the way to something bigger, which I'm fine with. But, 8 episodes is not a lot of TV, Ryan. It's 8 hours. Sometimes shows go 13, 20 episodes a season. And I was just hoping with the 8 episodes, they could tell a really tight, concise story that would be, really exciting from chapter 1 all the way to chapter 8. And so far, this was a slow spot.
Yeah, I think sometimes that may be a problem that The Mandalorian, this series, has struggled with at times. If you look back to season 1, there were episodes like this in season 1. There were episodes that seemed to be thrown on screen just to get an episode out there. Whereas you look at season 1, I think episodes 1 and 2 were great. And then the final 3 episodes, 6, 7, 8 were great. But there was that 3, 4, 5 range that was just, like you said, these side missions that didn't really fit into the storyline. And some of them were better than others. It was cool to see and learn more about the Mandalorian. But now that he's an established character, there's an established motive. I think I agree with you. I was hoping that everything would stick to that storyline. But hey, maybe some stuff that happened in this episode will come back and be more important in the later episodes. So, that's the beauty of watching television, one episode weekly at a time.
And I'm really, really glad that you bring that point up there, Ryan, that maybe this will come into factor later in the season, because that's one of the big surprises that I enjoyed in Mandalorian season 1 was seeing that first episode storyline of, I think it was Quill was the guy named, the rancher that had he led him to Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And he
Mm-hmm.
came back.
I have spoken.
Yeah, I have spoken.
Yeah.
That was his catchphrase. And he came back for those last couple episodes, and that was a welcome surprise. I think
Not
so
only
maybe
him,
something
but
like that could happen.
not only him, but yeah, Taika Waititi's character too, the bounty hunter droid.
So, maybe this is in hold, of maybe stuff that's going to return, like you're saying. I like that point a lot. But I do think that my kind of final point in this spoiler-free section here is that this episode felt like it was also feeding into one of my criticisms of episode 1. As few criticisms there were, I think we both gave that, a 9?
Upwards out there, yeah.
Yeah. I think that this one, like in episode 1's review, I said, I wanted more Baby Yoda. And this one definitely gave us more Baby Yoda, just trying to speak vaguely of what happens. But, he takes up a lot more screen time, I think, in this one.
Yeah, but, similar to our criticism, once again, without giving away too many spoilers, I think we both want to see more of Baby Yoda starting to utilize the Force as we saw in season 1, instead of him just sort of there as a draw maybe to a younger Star Wars audience that just likes Baby Yoda because he's cute on screen.
Comedic relief, yeah.
Exactly, but I don't think we expected that from Baby Yoda because we saw him do some badass stuff in season 1. And still, so far, all he's done is, gotten captured or, done stuff to get the group in trouble.
Yeah, and that was one of your main things against the episode 1 was, Baby Yoda had a few chances to get involved and he didn't in that episode. What do you think about Baby Yoda's involvement in this? Besides I think it's just a bunch of, slapstick jokes, which I'm fine with.
Absolutely. And if that was the role of Baby Yoda, I think that should have been more established. There shouldn't have been that great moment in season 1 where he saves the Mandalorian using the Force and beats the giant. I don't remember exactly what the creature was.
Oh, the Mudhorn.
That they end up having to defeat for the Jawas.
Yeah, that was you're right. Like there should have been something like that so far. And how about at the end of last season where he blows back the flame troopers' flames with his 3 fingers? Yeah. That was an amazing sequence too. Like I want to see more of that. He was able to heal Carl Weathers' character.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we haven't seen any
not just
expansion
Carl Weathers'
of that.
character, but also the Mandalorian in that opening sequence, he's able to take care of him when his arm's all cut up.
That's true. Yeah. So, before we go into more on what happens in this episode, we should probably give a spoiler warning, right?
Yep.
We want to talk details of the plot of this episode from now on. So if you don't want to be spoiled, stop it now and then come back later. All right, so go ahead and take it away, RB. Did you notice any Easter eggs, any callbacks that you want to bring up for this episode? I think we should start there.
I think there was all, the classic that, is blatantly obvious. Obviously, you recognize the more minute details. But mine was, I love the X-Wings coming in here when he's traveling in sub hyper or sub light speed.
Yeah.
And, they come in first. And, of course, they, blue leader, this is, blue one, what do we got here? And, I thought that was awesome. And just getting to see the X-Wings again, got me hyped.
That was great, yeah.
And then the same, shot into the cockpit that we see, in A New Hope with the, the orange uniforms and the helmet, the Resistance uniforms. So, that got me hyped.
Yeah,
that was probably my favorite thing about this episode.
Oh, yeah, totally. Me too. I think that it was, I don't know, the whole idea of the New Republic in this episode kind of was one of the most interesting ideas for me that this episode accomplished. This is kind of why, when I gave a 6.5 in the spoiler-free section, I kind of was like, I might be convinced that it's a little bit better if they go this direction with the rest of the show, because I want to know what your interpretation of these, New Republic, new rebel fighters they save Mandalorian, but they don't really help him. Even though, if you look at Star Wars from like a surface level perspective, those are basically the good guys. And I think the message they're maybe going for, if they expand on this, is maybe the good guys aren't always all good. I think that could be interesting too, kind of
Well,
analyzing that.
I think that's sort of the whole series of The Mandalorian. I mean, yes, we're rooting for The Mandalorian, but is he a good guy? I don't necessarily know. I mean,
I think he is.
the reason he gets into trouble in the first place, with these guys, why they end up leaving him there and not helping him, is because it goes back to the episode The Prisoner in season 1. They say, well, you have an arrest warrant because you helped break this prisoner out. However, we also see that you reprimanded 3 other prisoners and saved the life of a New Republic prison guard. So no, we're not going to arrest you, but we're not going to help you either. So it's a matter of, they seem to be a fair government, which is clearly the opposite of the Republic in the original Star Wars trilogy.
I see. Yeah, you're right. I I don't know. I just thought they were trying to say something more like, you know, this is kind of Mandalorian, the Mandalorian, Din Djarin, I think is his real name.
Mm.
This is kind of his destiny, right? Is to be the true good guy, even though he's in a world of outlaws, scoundrels, bounty hunters. He is truly the one moral guy that can bring Baby Yoda back to his family, which I think is the draw of the show. Kind of
Right,
what I'm thinking.
but this, I mean, I think this established that a new sense of law and order is coming into this universe with the more establishment of
Just
the
because of its
New
post
Republic.
Empire status as well, right?
Right, yeah.
It is really it's more of a Wild West than we had ever seen during the times of the Empire in the original trilogy, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Definitely more than the original trilogy. Definitely more than even the series of prequels.
Hmm.
But still in the vein of what we got to see, with this rise of the New Order in the new trilogy.
Yeah, but that's not going to be for another 30 years,
Right.
that new trilogy. So from this standpoint, I really like that they're in this kind of Wild West scenario. And like you said, the directors are obviously playing on that because there's a lot of Wild West, standoffs
Oh,
and,
absolutely.
homages, I guess you would call them, right?
Well, I think that transitions nicely into what I would say my favorite part of this episode was, and
Yeah.
it's that opening sequence on Tatooine.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Big fan of that.
I thought we were going to see something with Boba Fett. Sorry to interrupt, but I
I know
totally thought we were.
I absolutely agree. I was hoping he was gonna pop out with his blaster and come through and maybe gun down the bandits that were trying to steal the
Me too.
child, but then try and grab his armor back. So that's what I
Right.
was hoping for, absolutely. But that being said, it was still a great opening sequence, definitely. Some great action sequence and then the comedy as well, where he gives him the jetpack and then as he's walking away, flies it off until he falls off.
That was cool.
And then even to the point where he comes back to the mechanic who's in the bar. I thought that whole sequence was a little funny. The
And
program, he's on a hot streak, and then you get to oh, I definitely vouch for her. And then at the end, oh yeah, I met her 10 minutes ago, not 10 minutes ago. How do you know you better, or you'd vouch for her? Oh, I'm an excellent judge of character.
yeah, lots of good comedy sequences in this one. You're right. And touching on that sequence where he Mando tosses down 500 on that to cover that guy's bet. That's one of the things that we finally got to see was one of these these giant ants was in A New Hope, and we never got to see them again until just now, and we actually get to see them communicating and stuff like that, and instead of just background characters in the cantina in A New Hope, right?
Right. Yep. And yeah, that the cantina too, also an awesome homage to A New Hope. And maybe I thought I saw it out of the corner of my eye. Was there a Wookiee in the cantina as he walked in?
I couldn't tell. I think
I
maybe there
thought it
was.
was a Wookiee up at the bar, so I got excited
Okay.
with that for that too.
I'll have to go and check for that. That's a good eye on that one. But that the whole ant thing too kind of leads me into another kind of point that I wanted to make, in that this is directed by Peyton Reed,
Yeah.
who is director of Ant-Man, right?
Oh,
So,
okay.
that kind of puts it into context more if you want to look at it in that way
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. Nice little Easter egg there.
Yeah, totally. And
Yeah.
I was excited to see what he would do in a Mandalorian episode. And you could tell because there's lots of wildlife, with the
Mm.
Baby Yoda eating the eggs, Baby Yoda eating the spider. You could tell that
Well,
this is
even
the guy
even the
that did
frog lady, yeah.
even the frog lady. This is the
Yeah.
guy that did Ant-Man. You could
Yeah.
tell. Now that you think about it, did you know that,
Absolutely.
Ryan? Or
I had no
okay,
idea. So that's a great little tidbit.
yeah, I thought he did a good job, but I think it was the script that let him down in this one. I think honestly, that's
Yeah.
my main takeaway. Is that your takeaway as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think any time that I mean, I think the Mandalorian, yes, it's fantastic to see the cast, the traditional cast, but I think what makes a lot of these episodes are the guest stars, and unfortunately, the guest star in this episode didn't speak a language that we could understand. So I think there was a lacking of dialogue, which definitely hurt it because I love the dialogue that's usually put on screen for this show. And which led to just a lot of slow, long, strung out sequences, which I was not a huge fan of. Once again, you'll hear me say it in a ton of episodes. Struggled with the pacing of this episode. A lot of action at the front, not much in the middle. Just kind of left us, dragging on, and then a great action sequence to finish off the episode.
Yeah, and I think I agree with everything you said there. I just want to add on a couple points.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Number one being, uh, well, it has to do with the entirety of Boba Fett. What I'm starting to think is that cliffhanger at the end of episode 1 is just that, a cliffhanger, and we're never going to see Boba Fett again. I am so worried they're going to do that. I am so
Again,
worried they're
I
going to
mean,
do
I was
that.
gonna
Yeah.
say maybe we'll see him again in like 6, 7, 8,
I don't
but you
even
don't think
think
at
that.
all.
I think that was just John Favreau saying, "You guys have been asking if he's still alive. Boom, he's alive. That's it.
They can't do
To be
that. Come
continued."
on, they
And then
can't
you know
do
what? They
that.
might just make a separate show about him or something else. I have no idea, but I'm with
Oh
you,
boy.
Ryan. I want him to tie into this. I want him to come in when we've talked about what the future could be. What happens when Ahsoka shows up and
Yeah.
Sabine Wren from Star Wars Rebels? She's a Mandalorian in that show, RB, and she could have a big part in this one too. I want to
Right.
see
We
all
talked
these
about her in the prequel
characters. Yeah, yeah. I want
or
to
in
see all
in
of
the
these characters come
pre-episode.
together.
Yeah.
I want
Trailer
to see
release,
all
that's
of
what it
that.
was called. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
there
I
you go.
agree. I
Yeah,
agree. Sorry, I couldn't remember when we talked about her because that's the only reason I know the name. I haven't watched Rebels, but we talked about her in the trailer release.
yeah.
Definitely Ahsoka as well. So I agree, but I don't think they're gonna do that. I think we have to see Boba Fett at least a little bit more later on in this season.
He's
That's
out
just
for
my guess.
revenge on his armor, I guess,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I hope that they bring it in, but
I just want to know how he's still alive, how he survived the Sarlacc pit.
right. I feel like we might not even get an explanation. Seeing that's what kind of this episode made me feel like, which is why I marked it down so much. But I do like everything they did with the Republic, and I think the special effects were really great.
Yeah.
But
The spider sequence, I mean, I don't think either of us are big fans of spiders. I guess they're not spiders. Whatever, the 8-legged insect like things that were on the ice planet.
yeah,
That was a well done sequence. I know neither of us really like spiders, so I'm sure it probably, gave you the same heebie-jeebies it gave me watching them all crawl
yeah.
into the ship after him.
He
Very
was blasting them left and right, though. Boom, boom, boom. That was
yeah.
pretty cool.
And then I love when he brings out the flamethrower.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
badass.
that's great. I just I
I
think
was kind of disappointed with the frozen planet because in the trailer I saw that and immediately I thought Ilum, which is the planet where it's like the most ancient Jedi temple, and that's where all the Jedi go to get the crystals that power their lightsabers. You find this out in the
okay.
Clone Wars, and it's also a big part of Jedi Fallen Order, the video game that came out recently that I want Ryan to dip his hands into pretty soon, hopefully. But yeah, that also plays a big part there. And I was hoping that, honestly, where I wanted this episode to go, that would be a lot more interesting, I think, was that on that ice planet, he crashes into an ancient Jedi temple. And in that ancient Jedi temple, Ahsoka is there waiting for, some reason the Force told her or whatever. And all of a sudden, boom, she meets Baby Yoda and rescues them from the spiders. I thought that was going to happen. I thought that would be amazing.
That would
But
have been great. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I just think that this episode, like you, had a huge issue with pacing, and the script didn't live up to the potential of what it could have been. So that's kind of my final take. Any final thoughts for you?
No, I think you put it all nicely in a nutshell there. Definitely not the greatest episode of Mandalorian, but we're still big fans of the show.
Yeah,
We've had
totally.
episodes like this before in season 1. Not going to stop us from watching. So definitely still give it a watch. We're along for the ride here. New episodes coming out every Friday. So, stay tuned, and then stay tuned with us for our review, and let us know what your thoughts are too down in the comments.
Yep, absolutely, guys. If you want to follow us, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Dom Gonzalez48. You can follow RB. Oh, I always point to the wrong side. RB.
Hello.
You can follow him on Instagram at RB_the_SID. And on Twitter, you can follow him at RB with the call. And, send your comments and stuff to him because he will respond. He is the Mr. Twitter user. He has been addicted to it ever since the election's been going on.
That is fair. Maybe not utilizing it too much, but enjoy the occasional look at tweets and what's going on in the world.
Did you see this tweet yet, bro? That was I couldn't believe you said that to me earlier today. That was crazy. You've never said that to me before.
Yeah.
You're into it right now.
I'm into everything election wise, which still craziness that this election still hasn't been decided. But that's been I wish we could do a review on that. It's been the most entertaining thing on TV of late. I can't take my eyes off of the election coverage on ABC News or NBC News. I'm a big fan of it. Gives us something to look forward to 4 years from now, I guess too.
Yeah, totally. All right, I think we should end it there. We'll see you guys next week with another Mandalorian episode review. That'll be season 2, episode 3. So we'll see you guys then. Later.